Well, guys, I can cover give you an intro to the BERT topic stuff I've been working with this week. But I'd be glad to do that. But is there anything we maybe want to, is more interesting to us, or that's we want to share, talk about, get help with?
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
So I've been starting to play with species, the phrase matcher, entity ruler thing. So those are like, so I didn't know that they even existed. So I took the 4, lesson course that Spacey has. So I think lesson 2 covers that. So essentially it's like a tool that allows you to see, or go through a corpus of content using regular expressions, but regular expressions not only string based, but also using all the annotations that Spacey drops in it, right?
Yes.
So things like, part of speech, lemma, you could, basically create regular expressions using all the other little pieces, and it would find it, right? So I did a little spin on it. So there is a data set that I got from one of my colleagues. He's holding a workshop in ACL for units of measure. So the idea is that given a sentence, find entities corresponding to quantities, measured entity, measured property, things like that. So I was, so the first thing I did was, since this is not Spacey, so he's created a training set, right, with hand-marked things. So I wanted to import it in Spacey. So that's the part I've got to so far. Basically, I turn off the Spacey entity linker and, create a doc object out of it, right? And then I pump in these outside, the externally created entities as doc.ent, right? And then I'm able to view it in the Spacey visualizer, this Spacey. And the next thing I will do is basically go through, different, so look at the patterns they have identified in the training set and try to put those in the entity, the phrase matcher as thing, as patterns, and try to see if I can get more,
So you basically you're going to have a lexicon stage using your existing lexicon that you put together of measures, right?
Right.
And then you're going, not rules, but actual lexicon. Is that right? How would you do that?
So what he's done is he's taken, I think, some, I don't know how, it's about 258 paragraphs, and it works out to about a few thousand sentences. So, and so they have, took 2 annotators, and they have gone and marked out these, 4 classes. The quantity, which is just a number, or, it could also be a number ONE as 1, right? Or 1 to 11, right? So different kinds of formats as quantity.
Yeah.
Then the unit of measure, right? The second piece. And that comes from a lexicon, I think, or they have actually hand marked it, but there is something called QUDT, which contains units and measures. So I was planning to use that here. And then there is the measured property, what is being measured, and measured entity. Sorry, measured entity is what is being measured, and the measured property is under what conditions is the measurement happening, right? So water boils at a higher temperature in Denver than on the plains, right? So it's kind of around that, what is the experimental conditions? And then there is a qualifier, which is like none of the above. It's like, but important, right? So these are the entities that, that's the challenge, basically, that, you have to identify the entities, and he has an eval script and so on. So I was taking a slightly different tack rather than create a supervised learning kind of thing. Basically be able to inspect the entities manually, and then be able to use rules like pattern rules and other rules.
So wait a minute. Now I think I understand. What you're saying is you put a stage in a pipeline that just, what I'm confused about is how you're taking what you just described to me, that corpus of paragraphs and sentences with those structures, you're somehow putting those into the Spacey pipeline so you can compare with them, right? So how are you tagging? Oh, you're using the same content, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so you don't really need so how do you add the markup for the entities and everything in the pipeline? Is it just part of your input document, or is it a stage that does something to your document to get those?
Yeah, so I get the document, and then I assign the entities into that. So I have the entities parsed out as CONLL format.
Oh,
okay. So I basically parse that in and put in the offsets and the label and assign.
So is that a stage, or is that a pre-Spacey process? No, it's in a stage, right?
It's in a stage, yes.
Yeah,
it's
you're putting it into Spacey format,
right,
so it can handle it.
Right.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, so far I've got that piece working. So the rest of these are TBD kind of things.
Now, when you talk about I can't remember now, phrase match or entity ruler, are those the grammar rules?
No. So entity ruler is basically something like by Hokorasik, where you basically put in a dictionary, and it basically matches it direct, right? So that is one. I want to use it just to learn how to use it, and the one that I was talking about is the phrase matcher. So that is the one that allows you to put regular expression like patterns, but not restricted to just the string value.
It's okay, so that's the grammar rules. I mean, maybe they don't call them that. That's what I remember. So I've used those a little bit. Okay. And yeah, I understand. You have your whole parse. It's not a tree, but you do have a tree actually.
And I can build a tree as well. Yes.
Yeah, and so you're basically going to do. It's really a classic case of grammar rules. I see. And so you're going to do grammar rules and then be able to compare the two in that same visualizer.
Exactly. Right.
I get it. Makes perfect sense now. Okay.
So that was the only interesting thing I did this week. So the rest of it is just reading stuff.
Yeah. Sounds good. Did you read anything interesting or come across anything exciting?
Did I? No, not really.
Okay. All right. How about yourself, Yuri? You want to give us an update?
Yeah, I was trying to look for links, but I'll send them later. I think the same group that built SentenceTransformers, they published or about to publish several papers. So one was they created their own benchmark for information retrieval. And I haven't read the papers yet, so I may not be representing it correctly. But I think they decided that the other tasks were not because they used I think STS and NLIS tasks to demonstrate their networks. But I think now they created their own data set for information retrieval. So that was pretty interesting. And then they have several other kind of follow-on papers.
IR, and that's different than semantic matching, you think?
But I don't know the detail. I haven't looked at I haven't read the paper yet.
Yep. Once you have it, Yuri, I would be very interested. These sound like really interesting things.
And by the way, I think I posted the.
I saw some. Yes. Yeah.
I think I go. From the same people from the same group, I saw there was an information retrieval class from University of Vienna. So I started following it, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna finish it because it's a little boring doing it by yourself.
Okay.
So I thought maybe I'll add it to the TWIML, see if somebody wants to do it.
Did you already post it? I can't find it.
No. I think I
Oh, I
discussed
see.
it in this group,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I'll post it. I'll add it again.
Okay.
What was that? Like, what is it again? A
It's a
course?
class. They call it's like advanced class in advanced information retrieval from University of Vienna. But they kind of quickly go through like existing techniques and then get into neural networks and.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of, is that sort of, you think they'll get into vector search and all of that?
I think so.
Very likely, yeah. Those are the hot things now, right? So,
Yeah. So Yuri, have you had any updates on vector search? I know you guys are,
No, I'm preparing embeddings for that right now, but I don't have anything to show yet.
And how about your crop masking? I think we discussed that. You were working with academia. You found somebody.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think we're like kind of learning, understanding what we learned. There's no updates on that yet.
Yep. Anything else you want to share?
I guess it's more of a question. So we have an opportunity to, so we have like our own like kind of research seminars where we actually like present our own work, but quite often we don't have anything weekly. So instead of canceling seminars, I think we decided that we're gonna do like a paper reading because that's that it's useful for everybody. So I think the next we will do it soon, and because I spoke up, I think I was put in charge of that. So if you were like so like I'm looking for like what papers do you think are good for like discussion and sort of reading club. I don't want to discuss like BERT, and I think at some point I said, I don't know if you saw that there was a new paper from Facebook called Dyna. It was unsupervised, but like it's not very like it's interesting. I'll probably like learn it at some point, but it's not very practical. So.
I would recommend, this is a really naive approach, right? Because I don't really follow papers that much, but Papers with Code, that site, right?
Yeah.
I'd recommend finding an area in there that is obviously applicable to your folks, and that should be able to, within that you might be able to get to like pretty quickly find the top performing and recent stuff within that subject area.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, it's kind of a naive approach. For Papers with Code might help you find
I
good
think that
paper.
makes sense. I was going to suggest specific models based on tasks, right? So let's say if your team is doing summarization, for instance, you find projects that or specific models that are good at summarization. There is one, I forget, Pegasus. So that's an interesting model for summarization. So, but I don't know if that's too specific for you or too general. I mean, it depends on your audience, I guess.
Well, the whole matching, matching is a big topic for us. So I was actually maybe thinking of doing talking about sentence transformers.
Yeah.
But then I'll be the one doing all the work. So.
Well, you could start it off.
Well, how many people show up at these seminars?
It's about 20.
Dude, you need to start it off by maybe doing the first one, but maybe sort of modeling how to do it and how to find the paper, and then so other people do them, right? Like you want other people. Ideally, you want them to be sharing.
And then maybe like 5 of them would be interested in NLP. The rest of them don't do NLP. A lot of them do, they're geoscientists, geospatial scientists, they do time series modeling. Um,
By the way, if you guys, I don't know, I guess I can't volunteer. But anyway, I happen to be family friends with sort of a statistician that was sort of a pioneer in time series. He's in his 80s now, but still kind of active. Shumway is his name,
Okay.
Robert Shumway. But anyway, you guys aren't going to invite outside people to that meeting, I don't think. So for example, papers with code, they also have trending research too. Like they show you the trending. It's very timely, all this shit. It's all 2000. Well, not all of it, most of it. Anyway.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I'll definitely, I'll look at that.
Well, that's cool. Well, you've got the bug. I mean, once you start like collaborating and discussing in an open way on, on Zoom and on Slack, right? You've sort of been infected with that because now you're incidentally doing it at work too. So I'd like to kind of start something up like that at work, but I don't know if there's enough interest. Not paper reading.
And this is sort of just we we don't have to meet, but it's good if we have weekly seminar, and like if we don't have a topic to discuss, like we want to kind of teach ourselves useful things. So that was the idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they used to call brown bag lunches or whatever, or term, I think. But all right, that's cool. Anything else?
No. When you're gonna talk about BERT topics, are you gonna? Do you actually install it?
Sure. I'll show you a notebook if you want.
Because so I tried doing it instead of doing it in Google Colab. I tried installing it, and that failed so far.
What? Really? I
But
had no problem.
it may be like environment. So
yeah, I'll show you my environment. We could talk about it if you want. So you want me to do that?
Sure. Yeah. That'd be great. All right. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to share the screen now. Okay. Let's see here. So, all right. You guys still there? You hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It's just yours just muted. That's all. Why won't it F11? There you go. So, by the way, I am in. Thank God, I'm finally in an environment supported by my company. It's GCP. It's our specific projects and stuff, and it's AI notebooks. Okay, so I'm using the AI unified notebooks, which means I have access to GPU, which is very nice, makes this very quick. Now, and what I'm going to do is I'm just at the beginning of learning this stuff, but it's I'm BrightTalk. Just quick background is BrightTalk is a company that produces webinars, mostly IT webinars. The end users produce them, or companies a lot, and people come and watch them. And within the IT world, they're pretty popular for that. And then we bought them, and so now TechTarget bought them, and so now we have access to the content. And so I wanted to sort of get a sense of what topics they cover. There's people at the org that are interested in that, so I thought, well, why not do topic modeling and try to see what kind of topics they cover. So that's the goal. I had to ingest we have about. I mean, at this point, we don't have a ton of the content. We just have a month's worth in our system. So I just have 5,000 documents that I'm doing the topic modeling with. And I'll show you examples of those documents. There's titles and descriptions for webinars, or what they are. Now, I'll just show the install part so that Yuri, you can ask me questions. I mean, basically, this is just the problem is it's Jupyter Lab that I automatically started from from GCP via the AI notebook. So here I get this I just start a new. So I don't know that's going to help you much because I'm not exactly sure what comes in their container, but I'm using the Python 1.8 environment, the PyTorch 1.8 environment, but it has, you know, most of the normal stuff. You don't have to worry about this stuff. This is just, you know, this is, have you guys heard of Fast Parquet?
Yeah.
Well, I use it so that I can have arrays. When you save in a pandas data frame, when you're dealing with arrays that are in a column, this preserves that. So they don't turn into strings, which is a real pain in the ass. When you save it to Parquet and then try to open it back up, a data frame. So that's why I'm always using Fast Parquet. Have you ever experienced that, Suji?
I've used Parquet with Dask,
Yeah.
Fast Parquet with Dask. So that's how I know this one. Generally, well, saving it as pandas to CSV I've done. Not, you know, for Dask I have done Parquet only, and pandas I've done CSV only. So maybe it's, yeah.
So I just standard save to Parquet.
Okay.
I don't know how I started doing it, but it's more compressed, and it's that way I can get arrays in and out of it, which is nice doing this. And I use arrays a lot, right? Classification.
Oh, I see. Arrays within fields. I see where.
Yeah,
okay.
array within a column, I can get it back.
Right.
I don't have to reconstitute the freaking thing.
Yes.
I think there's other things, but anyway, but here you go. Snappy is needed. This Python Snappy thing is needed as part of that Fast Parquet for some reason. But then there you go. Is this where it's dying, Yuri, at install time, or is it at actually import?
Yeah.
At install time.
Create new environment.
Yeah, I mean, I could show you at the terminal like what my packages are, but I don't know if this is really helpful to you. What's the environment you're trying to do it in? You want to know my Python environment and stuff? You know, like
is it 3.7, right?
I don't know. Why is this stupid thing in the way? How do I get rid of it? You guys see that? Shoot.
I don't see anything. I see your terminal.
Okay. So let's just go Python. Let's just see.
3.7.10. Yep.
Yeah, and let's just go conda. I think it's a conda container. There's a conda, and
you have to.
or
you have to exit.
what?
Yeah.
Conda and
exit the REPL.
No, I should be able to get to conda here. See, look.
Really? Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, I got into Python. Duh.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry. Exit the REPL. Okay. Conda.
I don't see your last line, by the way. So
Okay. Hold on. That shows you. Can you see it now?
yeah.
Maybe this will help too. Can you see my last line now? Typing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, we're in the base environment. So yeah, that's the Python version. Did you see that?
Yeah. If you do a conda list, it will give you all the.
It's going to be a lot.
Yes,
Too
exactly.
many.
Yeah.
Not sure that's going to be very helpful.
Yeah, it's probably not worth it. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So, I mean, I didn't do anything special, obviously, for what that's worth. I just, you know, so I'm not sure why I have an hard time. You know, is there anything else you want me to try to?
No. So
Okay. All right, guys. So I like to start backwards. Unfortunately, I have a problem where I can't get the table of contents. I can't get any extensions working with JupyterLab. It's using an older version of JupyterLab, and I don't know why and how to do it. And I haven't had time to figure it out, so it annoys the heck out of me, but I'll just scroll. Okay, so I'm just going to show this, the result, before we talk about what the library or anything is. So here, I create a calc model, and then you can just go visualize. And then here's your visualization of your topics. So data analytics, right? You see that topic?
Mm-hmm.
You could scroll in on the topics, and you can go like this, right? You could zoom in, and you can look at different topics. Digital payments, financing. This is like finance stuff. This COVID-19, you know. And then what I did is I go, Okay, you've got topic 31. This is all built in, that stuff, but this I did. I go topic 31. I want to see the documents in it. It'd be nicer to have this in the visualization, but I haven't gotten to that. So you see the the documents in that one?
Let's see, okay. Nice.
So anyway, so I've been trying to go through and get coherent, cohesive topics. I finally was able to get something pretty good and useful. And one of the tricks was I used the sentence embeddings, which I'll show. But so here's another way to look at the output. I just want to show you real quickly, which is, here you go. So I built the topic model, and then you see the first 10 topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the topic ID at the beginning of them. But I then munged that comes free, right? That comes with the packet. But I then munged this into something a little bit more interesting to me. And basically, you'll see this table shows the same topics, but I have like a nice name so you can read it easy. I have the key terms you can look at, but I also have a ratio. You could ignore the -1 for now for the first one, the outliers for HTTP scan.
Right.
But you can see that 17% of the non-outliers are in the area of cloud security.
Okay.
Okay. 7 point. So this is the last month's worth of content. So that's probably why COVID is, such a big proportion. Okay.
So this system generated topic names?
Yep. So what I'm going to do now is just go to their documentation and show you their overall architecture. There's a visual diagram. But before I do that, are there questions? Okay, so let me just go there and see if I can. Okay, guys. So this is for topic documentation. It's very nice and simple. The algorithm. This is what's really fucking funny, man. I don't know, Suji, you may not have been there when we did that. I think Yuri, you were. Does this look?
Yeah. That's what we tried.
Yeah, that's what's his name, Peter. What was his name? We talked about him last week too. You remember the guy who did the tweet, and then Gotham picked up that tweet, and then we did for modern slavery, Suji. We did
Peter Baumgartner.
So Peter
Okay.
Baumgartner did this post where he did this. I call it a pattern of practice, where he basically implemented on some content the pattern of practice where you do a sentence embedding. I'm following this pattern here. It's exactly what's here. Then you do dimensionality reduction using UMAP, and then you do clustering using HTTP scan. Okay, and then you get these great clusters. And we were doing it for the modern slavery. We were doing sentences, and so we were clustering sentences to find types of statements.
Okay.
And then we were visualizing it. So that's exactly what this is. Only they added this bit on the end, Yuri. You see this last bit in olive color?
Okay. See topic. Okay.
Yeah.
Topic.
So they explain how they do this and stuff in the bottom, but they're basically trying to get the names that you see for the topics for the cluster.
Okay.
Okay, and it's kind of interesting and clever, but it works pretty well. So let's look here. So here's your topic representation part. So you're just turning, basically, I think the main idea is you're taking all of the documents for a cluster, or I don't know if it's all of them, but if I were him, I would be using this Centroid and getting this stuff close to it, but I don't think they do that. So they're taking that, and what they're doing is they're taking all the clusters of each cluster as a document, right? And so then you're finding the distinguishing, TF-IDF terms for each cluster.
Okay. Nice.
Something like that. Does this kind of make sense?
Right, yeah.
That's always a problem with this topic with clusters, right, is getting names.
But what you wouldn't get in your centroid approach is the last bit here. It says, it says this can be seen, this action can now be seen as a form of regularization of frequent words in the class. So if you take the centroid, you won't know the frequent words, right? Whereas with a glob of documents representing a cluster, you would be able to get a idea of IDF, right? So that
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're probably better off because this really surfaces. That helps actually.
Right.
Okay. And then topic cohesive. So he takes the results of this TF-IDF thing, this class TF-IDF thing, and then he explains here how he tries to find the terms that are cohesive with each other, I think.
Okay.
So the interesting thing to me is, geez, topic modeling is LDA, right? You use LDA normally, or some sort of dimensionality kind of reduction thing. But so traditional topic modeling is like its own method, right? From soup to nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like you uses latent Dietrich analysis, and so you go from bag of words to TF-IDF, and then it goes through all these different, creates these different matrices and does all this stuff. So it's like completely different from this. And so Gensim is where you can do the LDA stuff easily. So I'll probably do that as well. But what's nice about this library, let me show the guides here. So you can actually plug and play at any one of these levels and customize it. For example, you can use any of the Hugging Face embedding models as your embeddings. Now he has a default embeddings. He has default configurations for all of this. It's kind of like Spaces. It's almost Spaces like that, right? It's got a lot of default configurations and way things are done to produce, good results by itself. So this is a pattern of practice library, I call it. But the topic modeling, you can use any embedding. So for example, I experimented with, because the default embeddings didn't work well for me, because they're actually like a multi-language embedding. So what I did was here's the model building, by the way. Where am I? Okay, installs, data munging. Here it is, right there. So you see where I build the model?
Okay.
You can specify, if you don't specify anything, you get 1 grams, but this specifies that you can have 1 grams and 2 grams. Right here.
Not 3. It's 1.
Well, I think it does. I think that's 1 to. I don't know. I think that's 1 to 2. I'm not sure.
Right? Okay.
But either way, you can control it.
Right.
I've only seen 2s when I do that. But
okay.
so it takes care of that, and I don't know where it's taking care of that. I need to read about it because, usually when you're using these transformer embeddings, you're not, pre-processing anything.
Right.
So I doubt it's affecting that part. I think it's affecting what you see in the topics names and stuff.
Yeah, it'll capture longer relationships, right? So yeah.
Okay. For what? For the embeddings, or you think for the naming, cluster naming stuff?
I think even for embedding, it might capture embeddings for 2 grams as well as 1 gram.
Yeah.
So
I'd be curious if they're how it's being used. I don't. Okay. So then, so what I did is I used the sentence, and I actually just put in the name of the model, and then
how big is that a bigger model?
Didn't take that long to load. It is a big, it's not a huge model. Yeah, I don't think I timed the first time it loaded, but it's not. Yeah, I don't know, but this is a sentence embedding right out of that library. It's just also available through Hugging Face, because you see.
Reason I'm asking is that I normally use pretty smaller models just because I'm running out of space on the machines that I'm using.
Well, I don't know if we can get it. Let's see. So let's see if it has embedding model. There it is. Do you think there's something in the embedding model some way to measure how big it is?
You could see how many embed words you had. Maybe vocab. See if there is anything.
It's I usually look on the website. I think that's when it's.
Oh, you could probably find it pretty quickly that way, huh? I don't want to do anything too stupid here. It's a method.
It's a method. Okay.
Yeah, we don't want that. This kind of stuff is annoying.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up while you're talking.
Okay. But there's not that much here, so the embeddings. I don't know. I can't stop myself here. All right. Anyway, I think there is something for getting the memory footprint. I can't remember how to do that though. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So, you know, I guess there's nothing. First of all, the big problem where I'm at now is by using that embedding, I was able to get fairly cohesive clusters that make sense and that maybe are useful topics, right? But then you've got the stupid -1 thing. So you see right below here at line 16, you see how many freaking documents are in the outliers?
Yeah, that's the problem with HDB scan, right?
Yeah, but I think so that's not good. Not when I'm trying to figure out what proportion of their content covers security or something. So what I did is, first thing I did is I took just those documents, and then I did another, topic mapping on those to see what they look like, because I want to see if they're valuable. And yes, that has a ton of security stuff in it. It has valuable stuff in it. So there's a bunch of good stuff being thrown out. So just this morning I researched it a bit, and my next step is going to be to do this. So not min cluster size. There's actually a variable. Here it is, min sample. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here they describe how minimum sample is set to minimum cluster size by default, but min sample, if you decrease the minimum sample, you'll reduce the number of outliers you get.
Okay.
The reason is because it's related to k-means. So, I mean, it has to do with the number of neighbors that are required to include it in the cluster. Yeah. So you can actually independently control that. I'm assuming if you lower that too much, you're going to get garbage.
Yeah, individual points.
Yeah. But obviously, I think I can tweak that, and hopefully I can get down to a few hundred. So they show you here, all the gray are the clusters are just the blue ones, the topics, but all the gray are the negative ones or outliers. So then when they do the mean sample, see how it brings a lot of them back into clusters and you get more clusters?
Right, yeah.
So maybe, if I'm lucky, solve it that way. Yeah. Now, the other thing is just so you see that you can, so the documentation is very straightforward. They talk about embeddings, how you can use other embeddings. You can actually use custom embeddings, which you probably like, Suji, right? You can use anything, right? And then the topic visualization is interesting because, I'll just do a quick run through here because, you saw that visualization, right? But there's also this visualization. These are topics, you see, over time. So if you have data you can use, so you see the data they're using here, it's tweets from Trump.
Right. So basically, if you have dates in your documents, you'll be able to get trends, right?
You got it. At first I was a little confounded because the problem with this topic modeling stuff is the topic doesn't mean anything. It has no identity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, how can you track it over time? But the point is I think you have to just run all the data together at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's and he explains how he does the topic modeling differently so that it makes sense over time. But you can't you basically have to have your entire time period all at once and feed it in. whatever that is. So here they've got all of from 2011 to 2020. That's the only way you can get something that makes sense, I think. And it's kind of interesting the way they talk about how they do it. And then here's just basically where you have you could do a class. So for example, if your content has some broad metadata it's associated with, like department that it produced it, or broad audience areas or something, this will automatically show you
where. Okay.
Yeah, so these are your classes. Those look familiar, I bet. Those are the news group, 20 news groups.
Yeah.
Right? And so we did topic modeling, and now you can see those topics within those broader classes, I guess. Doesn't look very good to me, but.
Well, it got hockey correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. NHL hockey, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it's showing. So I guess you click on each one, and it'll show you.
Oh,
there
I
you
see.
go.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's kind of cool, right? I mean, there's definitely, that could be useful for monitoring stuff. That's basically what topic modeling is for. It's good for not data exploration, but monitoring topic trends. Sorry,
So
Yuri,
those classes came from Newsgroup, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Where were they plugged in?
So
I think we use the 20 news groups and topic
so
model
we just jump between data sets, right? So in the time series one, we were using tweets, but in this one, we're using, here, I'll show you. There's the code for it.
So this is not your code. This is the example code, right?
Yeah, we're in the documentation. We're looking at, if you look at the left side, topic visualization.
Okay.
The guide. So these are guides they're very nice, they're clean, they're simple. You see how simple that is? It's just using the news group. So that's the idea of visualizing topics classes. And then here's another one that does per document. So basically this document where it sits within the classes. I'll show you mine. Mine for this is easier to make sense out of, but let me see where it is. I think I have that in here. So you can look at an individual document. So there's an individual document. And it's telling me, it's most likely about security. Those two topics, 48 and 47. Okay? So, I mean, that might be useful for figuring out threshold. It's also useful to make sure that it's, I should display the document and read it and make sure that it really is about security. So those are the visualizations that come, out of the box. Now, of course, you could just do your own stuff as well because you've got all the data. Okay. Then he goes through topic reductions, because what's interesting to me about these patterns of practice libraries like this that seem to be emerging is that, topic reduction actually is a pretty important once you start looking at this stuff and trying to make sense out of it, because you don't want like 8 different security topics. Maybe I want to collapse them all so they're all one security topic so I can get a proportion of security topics that are being covered. So he goes through a couple different mechanisms for doing that. One of which I'm going to use the HTTP scan model itself and customize it. Other ones are built in. Then you've got topic representations, so we just sort of went through that, but he shows you here. These are the, you could just get the words for a topic. So this is topic number 31, and you're looking at the top 10 represented. This is the stuff that came out of the TF-IDF. This is what you use to create your name. This is showing you the top terms really for a topic. That's straightforward stuff, right? Any topic modeling is going to do that.
So this is LDA-ish, right? Or is it like totally different? If it's totally different, then I can see that. But
it's not LDA. It has nothing to do with LDA, right?
Okay. I see.
So just to go back, we looked at the whole diagram of how it's done, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
clustering of UMaps.
Yeah, it's not really topic modeling. It's just clustering with names. But then they're surrounding with this whole practice of topic modeling. So it is topic modeling.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's not LDA at all. So what's nice is that maybe you can get very different results. But also what's beautiful about this thing is you can just start plugging in the different embeddings, right? And so look, I'm using a sentence embedding, which people use for paragraphs. So maybe my content's a little too long. So I just, bam, just try. It only takes me 2 minutes to
Right,
run
exactly,
the model.
right.
The model doesn't take long to generate. And so I tried a BERT model, a semantic BERT model, produced crap. It was not very good.
Mhm.
Like, I guess, assuming it got confused or something. So it's kind of really cool that you can just plug in models. And, I haven't done a ton of it, but enough to see the difference.
Yeah,
And then,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, and now here's another pattern of practice, which is search topics. So like, you get like 100 or 150 clusters. So like, let's say 15 of them are search clusters, really, but they all have been collapsed to one. So what you can do here is you can do a search on your topics, your clusters, okay? And you just simply put in a word, like you put the word motor in here, right?
Mhm.
I put in security, but when you put that in, then you get back your topics that are similar. So let me show you my version of this, so it makes more sense to me. Hold on. For what it's worth, but that search is a semantic search, right? So you're using your embeddings,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So the word motor, and then it's finding the clusters, the topics, which ones are closest to that word. So that can be useful for recall, right?
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
if you do keywords, you're not going to find them all. It's a pain in the ass. So I try to take advantage of that semi-successfully here. Let me see here. There you go. Okay, so what I have here is, here you see where I did the search?
Right. Find
What
search
I'm
terms.
doing is actually doing the topic model, okay?
Mhm.
And then I'm just using find topics. So this is the topic model we created above. And I'm doing find topics, and I'm just putting in search terms, which can be one or more terms. It's just a string. I get the hits, and then I munge them into the result you're seeing here. Basically, I don't remember what I did. Let me see. I'm returning the hits and a counter. But you can see here, see my results in line 29 for security.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, but what I use it for is then what I do here is I create a regex from those, right? The ones that make sense.
And search enhancement, right? Expansion. Nice.
Yeah, and then I just use my find topic. This is the second function up top here. And all it does is it uses the data frame I have of the topics. Remember up top, I munged all of the topics into a data frame and added ratios and things. So I just search on the nice name. So I'm just doing a search on the name of the clusters. That's just a regex search.
Mhm.
And so the idea is hopefully that little exercise helped me, get some really reasonable idea, like of the ratio of those clusters. But anyway, that's just a rough thing I'm in the middle of doing. So, but you could see why he included a search topics in there,
Right. Yeah.
because when you're doing this kind of stuff, you need it. And then this shows you custom submodules. So in the diagram above, there's 3 models that you can customize. So you could customize your UMAP stuff or your HTTP scan. And here it shows you how. And so basically when you instantiate your model, so you're just taking like HTTP scan and you're configuring it however you want, which is what I'm about to do with
Right.
that minimum,
Right.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just customize them however you want. You just stick them in here at instantiation time, and then you do exactly what I've already been doing. So, I mean, geez, can you beat that
It's very cool.
for
Yeah.
a very customizable? It's just such a straightforward and clear and usable pattern of practice library. It's quite wonderful. And then here it's just, there's dynamic modeling, which then they have semi-supervised modeling, topic modeling. Have either of you guys ever done that?
No.
Okay, so you help guide. I've seen it with Jensen too, but you help guide your topic modeling towards certain topics.
Okay.
And so what he does here is let's see if we can just quickly see what they do. So we're using the news groups again. And what he does is he turns a bunch of the labels into -1. So he pretends that only some of his content is labeled.
Okay, got it.
So then and then when you do the fit, I guess you see this is an extra. I did fit transform above, but this is an extra thing along with the docs. By the way, you're just feeding it a list of text docs, right? That's the whole thing. But here you feed these categories in, and what does the categories look like? That's the only thing I don't remember. But anyway, you're feeding it in answers for some of the documents. Well, obviously this categories is a matrix of the same size as your documents, or it's a list. I think it's just a list with the category IDs, and one of them is -1. And so as the system looks, says, well, this document has a category, this doesn't, right? A topic.
Hey, Darren, sorry to interrupt. I have to drop now. I have another one. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Next week. Next week I won't have this. All right. Thanks. Bye, Yuri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
So, Yuri, I can just stop there. I don't know if there's anything else you want me to like cover or talk about or discuss.
Categories are the same thing as classes here, right?
Yeah. So in this is what that is confusing. So I think in this case they're using the news groups, and they're trying to guide the topics that you're generating or the clusters that you're generating, right, based on those existing categories from the news groups, right? Those, like sports dot whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they're using the existing classifications for your news group, which are those 20 news group, classifications, whether it's science or religion or whatever, and they're using that to try to guide gently guide the clustering. And I guess I'm not sure the value, but one of the values of it is it could help you. I don't really know, but I know it's.
Oh, I guess you'll have the same. So you'll have 20 topics, supposedly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The news group. You familiar with the news group stuff?
Yeah. I never worked with it, but I've seen it. Yeah.
So here it is. Here are the topics. I don't think he kept all of them, but computer, recreation, science, politics, right? So those are the actual topics they're using to help. So in this case, they're trying to guide it in this direction so that I don't know what the output looks like. I have to explore that. But either way, it's semi-supervised topic modeling. That's the name of what they're doing. Okay. And dynamic topic modeling is just, this is over time, and here he explains a little more detail how it's done, because he does some stuff that's different to make it work. And but either way, you've seen it already. This is where you see the topics over time for the tweet, for the Trump tweets. And here it gives you just more of an in-depth explanation of how it's done in the background. Okay, and then there's just really the API documentation for the different pieces. Oh, by the way, MMR is used. That's used to rank the terms. So I think that's sort of a very rough overview. It's an easy to use tool if you ever need to use some topic modeling or get started at least.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah. And the fact that you can plug in your own embeddings, it's pretty cool. I have a question. Do you know will Sujit always have like 1 hour at this time, or?
I don't know. We should ask him. If it happens again, we'll ask him. We'll move it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can make it earlier. I'm totally up for it. I'll ask him. I'll ask him after the call. Actually, real quickly. I'll chat him directly.
So surprisingly, Friday is a busier day for me than Thursday, but it changes all the time. So it's good that I don't have any regular meetings. at this time. But,
Does making it a little earlier, a little later conflict, or?
yeah, a little earlier is good. No, maybe not at 12, but like 12:30 would work
Well,
also.
why don't you coordinate with CG directly? Do you mind doing that? Because I'm open.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm fine on Friday now. So if you want to make it a little earlier or a little later or a bunch later or whatever you want to do, once good, just let me know and I'll post it. So just us three now, so we can work it out easy. Okay. Anything else?
No. Um, no, I'll look at this. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have in your back pocket. I just figured I spent a lot of time working on it, so it's quick and easy to show you and get you a sense of it. So it's in your back pocket for the future, for your convenience. So anyway. All right, cool. I guess we'll talk next week.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, take it easy. Bye.